I want to welcome Mr. Bob Chapman to the show today. Welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thank you, and I'm happy to be here again, and I'm sorry you've been having problems, but that's not unusual. And but I'm having problems too. I'm having problems too. I'm having problems too with DSL. So if I get cut out, I'll come back to you, and I'm getting a feedback right now.
Okay, I expected that today. Why did I not expect that? Even Larissa was set up for that. She knew that we were going to get a feedback, but she didn't know where we were going to be able to control it. And hopefully she's working on it now as we speak. Hopefully, I'm going to put it to you very mildly. Yesterday, we barely even got an hour and 15 minutes in. So, but we found ways to block the intruders that were hitting our service yesterday, and hopefully we'll be able to do an outstanding show today. I want to start off with those of you that are out there in the Marine Corps chat room. Welcome to Betty and the Betty's Brigade there in California, and to Lisa in Seattle. Thank you very much for letting me know you're around. And for the rest of you guys out there, you're in the chat rooms, you can ask questions by putting them in the chat room up in all capital letters, if at all possible, just like Lana did just now. Please ask Bob about the Zion exploration. Apparently, there has been a big oil find in Israel. Does he know anything about it? So there's your first question, Mr. Chapman.
I don't know if it's Zion, but about 2 to 3 months ago, they did hit oil offshore. And it looked to be pretty good. There has been drilling going on off and on for about, I'd say 25 years that I know of in Israel, and heretofore they really haven't found anything, although they thought that they would. A lot of money's been spent. But they did hit off there, and maybe it is Zion, but I really don't have any tip-of-the-tongue information. I just don't know.
Okay, girl, you got your question asked. Noble Energy, she says. She comes back in. Is it a good investment? Noble Energy and Levant in Basin.
I'd have to look at them. I know of Noble, but I'd have to take a look. I just don't have that in front of me right now.
And from Pensacola, Florida, I asked Mr. Chapman about the Spanish downgrade and the European debt crisis as it's widening. How far does he feel is it going to go? Is Europe really losing it? And what can happen if China decides to pull the plug? And why would China pull the plug on the United States?
Well, I don't think China wants to do that, and but they don't want to see the dollar go down, but they can't do very much about it because the dollar is going to go down. It just happens to be at the moment on its rally on the USDX from 74 to 82 and a half almost. They happen to have the best of the worst, and that'll change and they'll become one of the worst. And so just be patient because the dollar is going to go down. I think everybody was very surprised at what happened in Europe, and it was very unanticipated. Before I talk about this, I did a program interview yesterday with the largest newspaper in Greece, and I got to admit I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, the article will either appear today in that newspaper or tomorrow, I would think. And I did 2 weeks ago. I was on Athens International, which was carried by BBC International or whatever it's called, and French International and Deutsche Welle. And so let's get down to it. And the reason I told you that because they called me in because they thought I knew something about it, which I do. First of all, the problems with Greece and Italy both go back over 10 years, and they really didn't tell the truth in qualifying for the Eurozone. For those who don't know, there's 27 countries in the European Union. 16 of those countries are in the Eurozone. 2 of them joined in the last year or so. Originally, there was 14. And so there was qualifying procedures under the Maastricht Treaty. And quite frankly, neither Italy nor Greece qualified, but they fixed the books, and they did qualify. And the other members knew that. They knew that the books were fudged, but they wanted a larger union. They didn't want to leave anybody out. They wanted people to trade with, to make money. And they also, the people who plan this Eurozone and the Euro, are the same people who want one world government. And so that's the basis, the underlying basis as to why the Euro was created. The problem with having a European Union or a Eurozone within there is that you have people who are not homogeneous with one another. They have all sorts of customs that are different from one section of one country to another section in the same country. And then you have people who don't have cultural similarities throughout all the countries. So it's very, very hard, if not impossible, to make it work. So they created this Eurozone and a European Central Bank, and they had one interest rate for everybody. And from that point on, at the beginning, the euro was doomed to failure. You can't have one interest rate for 16 countries that are at different stages of development. And so this is where the problems arise from. Greece has been more profligate than other countries. They're $400 billion in debt. They need, over the next 5 years, probably $375 billion. I know where it's going to come from. And when I was interviewed, they said, well, what should they do? I said, well, either the IMF and the other European countries are going to come in and help, and Germany really doesn't want to. So if they don't do it, just declare bankruptcy, default on all your bonds, leave the Eurozone, and go back to the drachma. And what will happen is that you'll have a depression for about 10 or 15 years, but I got news for you, you're going to have one anyway. So if these guys don't play ball with you, then you're stuck. Now what's happening now, and the thrust of this question, is Spain. Spain is a basket case. They have unemployment over 20% that they'll admit to. It's much higher than that. Unemployment under 35 years old is about 40%. Terrible. But they didn't have any diversity in their economy. They were building and building and building and building, and you can't run an economy just on building and real estate. You got to be able to do other things. And I know they do, but not enough of them. And so Spain was downgraded. Portugal is a smaller country. And incidentally, I lived in both those countries for an extended period of time. And Portugal is in the same position, only worse. They get 2 downgrades, just like Greece did. Now, you say, well, where is this headed? Well, if they're going to bail out Greece, then they're going to have to bail out the rest of the pigs. Ireland, Portugal, Spain, and Italy. And, you know, the Germans are saying, well, where does this all end? You know, where does all this money come from? And the answer is, I don't know, because the European Central Bank for the Eurozone can't create money out of thin air. Federal Reserve can. Bank of England can, but the European Central Bank can't. And that's why they can't monetize their way or attempt to monetize their way out of this problem. Monetization is when a central bank creates money out of thin air and puts it into the economy. And when it gets put into the economy, it's monetizing, and it's the only thing that can create inflation. But they can't do that because they're in this Eurozone. So, what people are concerned about is higher interest rates, which are already happening. The Greeks are now paying 15, 17%. And you just can't pay that and survive. It's spreading to other countries. It could spread all over the world.